Most parents assume that keeping a baby healthy is mostly about luck, good genes, or simply avoiding sick people at the right moments. But the truth is far less mysterious than that. A baby's immune system is being shaped every single day by small, repeatable habits, long before any illness ever shows up on the surface. The good news buried inside all of this is that most of what actually protects a baby isn't complicated, expensive, or dramatic. It's a handful of consistent, science-backed habits that quietly build a stronger foundation over months and years, often without a parent even realizing how much impact they're having. In this video, we'll walk through 8 essential ways to protect your baby from illness and support their growing immune system, starting from the basics most people overlook entirely. Hi, I'm Ava from Baby Brain Blueprint, and before we start, a quick note. This video covers general wellness habits, not medical advice. Every baby is different, and your pediatrician will always know your specific child best, so treat this as a helpful starting point for conversations with your doctor, not a replacement for one. Number 1. Prioritize breast milk or fortified formula in the early months. A newborn's immune system is still under construction in every sense of the word. In the first months of life, babies rely heavily on external support to fight off infections their own bodies aren't yet fully equipped to handle. Breast milk carries antibodies passed directly from mother to baby, offering a kind of borrowed immunity, while the baby's own defenses are still catching up. This isn't a small effect either. Colostrum, the first milk produced after birth, is often described as a baby's first vaccine because of how concentrated it is with protective compounds. If breastfeeding isn't possible, isn't sustainable, or is only partial for any reason, a properly fortified formula recommended by your pediatrician still provides the essential nutrients babies need for healthy immune development. There's no need for guilt here. Fed and supported is always the priority, and modern formulas are designed with immune-supporting nutrients specifically in mind. What to do? If you're breastfeeding, aim for consistency in the early months, since ongoing feeding continues to pass along antibodies for as long as it continues. If you're formula feeding, choose a formula recommended directly by your child's doctor rather than whatever happens to be trending online, and don't hesitate to ask specific questions about which option best supports immune health for your baby's particular needs, especially if there's a family history of allergies or sensitivities. Number 2. Keep vaccination schedules on track. Vaccines are, without exaggeration, one of the most thoroughly studied and effective tools in all of modern medicine for protecting babies from serious, preventable illnesses. Diseases that used to be common causes of infant hospitalization and worse are now rare, specifically because of consistent, widespread vaccination. Delaying or skipping recommended vaccines doesn't just leave your own baby more vulnerable to illnesses their body isn't ready to fight alone. It also quietly removes a layer of protection for other babies in the community who are too young to be vaccinated yet themselves, and who depend on the immunity of everyone around them. It's completely normal to have questions about timing, ingredients, or specific vaccines. The mistake isn't having questions. The mistake is looking for answers in comment sections and forums instead of the one place built specifically to answer them accurately, your pediatrician's office. What to do? Keep a simple calendar or phone reminder system for your baby's vaccination schedule so appointments don't quietly slip by during busy months. Bring any questions or concerns directly to your pediatrician rather than outside sources, and don't be afraid to ask for the reasoning behind a specific vaccine or its timing. A quick, honest 15-minute conversation with your doctor is always more reliable and more reassuring than an hour of searching around online late at night. Number 3. Make hand-washing a household habit, not just a baby rule. Here's something most parents don't consider until it's already happened. Babies don't get sick in isolation. They can't leave the house, touch door handles, or shake hands with strangers on their own. Nearly every illness that reaches a baby in the first year of life was introduced by the hands of the people around them, parents, older siblings, grandparents, even well-meaning visitors who showed up specifically to meet the new baby. Focusing hygiene efforts only on keeping the baby clean while ignoring everyone else's hands leaves an enormous, easily overlooked gap in protection. It's a bit like carefully locking the front door while leaving every window in the house wide open. What to do? Make hand washing before holding the baby a normal, expected, non-negotiable part of visiting. No exceptions made for how healthy someone looks or how good their intentions are. A simple, friendly sign by the door, or a warm but direct verbal reminder, works far better than an awkward conversation after someone's already holding the baby. Most people genuinely don't mind being asked. They usually just haven't thought about it themselves. Number 4. Protect consistent, quality sleep. Sleep isn't just about mood, growth spurts, and giving exhausted parents a break, although it is certainly all of those things too. Sleep is one of the single most important periods for immune system development, happening in the background every single night. During deep sleep cycles, the body produces and regulates key proteins called cytokines that help the immune system detect and fight off infection and inflammation. Inconsistent, frequently interrupted, or chronically insufficient sleep can quietly weaken this entire process over time, making a baby's body less prepared to respond when illness does show up. This doesn't mean chasing a perfect, uninterrupted night's sleep, which barely exists in the newborn stage anyway. It means paying attention to the overall pattern and rhythm building underneath the inevitable rough nights. What to do? Build a simple, predictable bedtime routine as early as the newborn stage allows. Dim lights in the evening, calm and quiet voices, roughly consistent timing even if the exact minute shifts night to night. This rhythm helps a baby's internal body clock settle into healthier patterns over time, which in turn supports the deep sleep stages where immune function gets its most important daily tune-up. Number 5. Get outside for natural light and fresh air. Sunlight exposure helps the body produce vitamin D, a nutrient that plays a meaningful and well-documented role in regulating immune function, not just bone health as many people assume. Beyond the vitamin D benefit, there's a simpler, more intuitive reason outdoor time matters. Fresh, open air naturally disperses airborne germs, while indoor spaces, especially crowded ones like daycares, waiting rooms, or family gatherings, tend to concentrate them in close, recycled air. Outdoor time also offers a baby's developing senses and nervous system a different kind of stimulation than indoor environments, one connected to reduced stress responses in both babies and their caregivers. What to do? Aim for short, regular outdoor time whenever weather reasonably allows. Even something as simple as a walk around the block, time in a stroller in the yard, or a blanket spread out in dappled shade. It doesn't need to be elaborate, lengthy, or scheduled around perfect conditions. Consistency across weeks and months matters far more than the duration of any single outing. Number 6. Don't over-sanitize every single surface. This tip tends to surprise a lot of parents, especially first-time parents who arrive home with an instinct to disinfect everything the baby might possibly touch. While basic hygiene absolutely still matters, a growing body of research increasingly shows that some early exposure to everyday germs, dirt, pets, and even other children actually helps train a developing immune system, rather than threaten it. This idea, sometimes called the hygiene hypothesis, suggests that immune systems raised in overly sterile environments may actually become more prone to allergies and overreactions later on because they never got the early practice distinguishing real threats from harmless exposure. Constantly sterilizing every toy, surface, and interaction can unintentionally reduce this natural learning process, essentially keeping the immune system understimulated during exactly the window when it needs the practice most. What to do? Focus your hygiene efforts specifically on the moments that carry real risk: hands before feeding, surfaces during an active illness in the household, food preparation areas, diaper changing stations. Beyond those specific, high-risk zones, allow some ordinary exposure to happen. A little dirt tracked in from the floor, a toy that's been in another child's mouth, a family pet's fur, these are rarely the villains most new parents initially fear them to be. Number 7. Feed a varied diet as they start solids. Once your baby begins eating solid foods, usually somewhere around 6 months depending on individual readiness, variety on the plate matters more than most people realize at first. A wide range of fruits, vegetables, grains, and whole foods doesn't just introduce different vitamins and minerals one at a time. It also exposes a baby's developing gut to a broader range of beneficial bacteria, and gut bacteria diversity has increasingly been linked to stronger, more balanced immune function throughout life. Sticking to the same 2 or 3 safe foods repeatedly, while understandable given how picky and unpredictable early eating can be, may narrow this important window of exposure more than parents intend. What to do? Rotate through different fruits, vegetables, textures, and flavors as your baby grows and their palate develops, rather than settling into a narrow, repetitive rotation out of convenience. Introduce new foods one at a time where possible, so you can track any reactions clearly and talk with your pediatrician about specific timing and any allergy precautions relevant to your baby's individual history or family risk factors. Number 8. Manage your own stress as a parent. This last one tends to surprise people the most, but it's genuinely well supported by research. Babies are remarkably, almost uncannily attuned to the emotional state of their primary caregivers, often picking up on subtle shifts in tone, tension, and body language long before they can understand a single word being spoken. Hi. Prolonged parental stress has been linked in studies to measurable changes in a baby's own cortisol levels and stress response system, and chronic stress hormones, over time, have a documented relationship with weakened immune resilience. In other words, your own well-being isn't a separate, secondary concern sitting outside the topic of your baby's health. It's quietly woven directly into it. This doesn't mean never feeling stressed, which is an unrealistic standard for any parent, especially in the exhausting early months. It means building small, realistic recovery moments into your own days wherever possible. A few minutes of genuine quiet, a support system of family, friends, or other parents you can actually lean on, honest conversations with a partner rather than silently absorbing everything alone. Taking care of your own nervous system isn't separate from taking care of your baby's. It's one of the most overlooked parts of the same job. What to do? Find at least one small, repeatable source of relief in your week, even something as modest as 10 quiet minutes with coffee before the house wakes up, a short walk alone, or a regular check-in call with someone who understands. Ask for help before you're completely depleted rather than after, and remember that a calmer parent is, quite literally, part of a baby's immune support system, not a luxury separate from it. None of these 8 habits require perfection, and none of them will guarantee your baby never gets sick, because that's simply not how immune systems, or childhood, actually work. Illness will still happen sometimes, and that's a normal, even necessary part of a growing immune system learning and adapting. What these habits do instead is quietly stack the odds in your baby's favor, one small, repeatable choice at a time, across the thousands of ordinary days that make up their first years of life. If this video gave you something new to think about, let me know in the comments which tip you're starting with first, and don't forget to subscribe to Baby Brain Blueprint for more evidence-based videos on raising healthy, resilient, thriving kids.